Peace, Israel, and Yah bless. Thy righteousness is an everlasting righteousness, and thy law is the truth. Today is what they call January the 19th. It is a Sabbath day. I hope you're having a blessed Sabbath day. Today's lesson is entitled, They, Your Enemies, Will Come. Once again, the title of today's lesson is, They, Your Enemies, Will Come. Many of the nations currently are enemies unto the house of Israel, including those in the house of Israel. Some of our women and some of our men are enemies unto the righteous men of the house of Israel. They all will come. All right, once again, brace yourselves, tighten up your jaws. Don't turn to the left or to the right, or you will get hit in the mouth. We are to walk the straight and narrow way of the Most High's commandments. And we will go into this law, into these scrolls, and validate what is being said. All right, we will start off in Zechariah chapter 8, verse 23. We will start with Zechariah, and we will finish this lesson with Zechariah. All right, Zechariah chapter 8, verse 23 reads, Thus saith Yah of hosts, in those days it shall come to pass that 10 men shall take hold out of all languages of the nations, even shall take hold of the skirt of him that is an Israelite. In your book is going to say Jew. The house of Israel are not Jews. Jews are those people that's sitting in the land right now. They are not Israelites. They are indeed Jews. We are not Jews. We are Israelites. We have heard, they will take hold of a man that is of the house of Israel, saying, We will go with you, for we have heard that Yah is with you. So, 10 men out of the nations, as the Most High lift up his hands against these nations and start putting his sword judgments upon them, is going to be made clear who the house of Israel is and who the men are out of the house of Israel that's professing the Most High's word in truth and in righteousness. And 10 men out of the nations will grab a hold of that man of Israel, wherever he may be, and make plain to him, Hey, I am with you, for I know that you are a man of Israel, and you are walking after the Most High's law, therefore I am with you. So these are some of the things that the men of Israel that are walking in righteousness are to look forward to. And that includes the men of Israel who are against you. There are many men of the house of Israel who are walking after white JC and black JC and other manners of idolatry, as it is made plain to them exactly who the Most High is raising up in these many nations that are walking after his law. Those men of Israel also will take a hold of that man of Israel who is walking in truth and in righteousness. So your enemies, those who have been against you, they indeed will come. But the only ones that will come will be those that are of a contrite spirit. They won't all come. And the ones that don't come, they will die. All right, let's move to Isaiah chapter 4. Isaiah chapter 4. Isaiah chapter 4, we'll read verse 1 through 7. And Isaiah chapter 4 reads, And in that day 7 women shall take hold of one man, saying, We will eat our own bread and wear our own apparel. Only let us be called by thy name to take away our reproach. So the women of Israel and the man of Israel have been separated. There's contention between the two. And there have been from the time that we chose to walk contrary to the Most High's law. So what will happen? It will take the men of Israel to stand up. It will take the men of Israel to reconcile ourselves back onto the Most High via his law. And once we do this, then as the men of Israel reconcile ourselves back onto the Most High via his law, then the women of Israel will reconcile themselves back onto the men. For the men now are walking upright. They're walking in righteousness. And then the women of Israel will take a hold of a man of Israel, because they're going to realize clearly where they have been in error. So you understand that. Now, let's go to verse 2. In that day shall the branch of Yah be beautiful and glorious, and the fruit of the earth shall be excellent and comely for them that are escaped of Israel. So for those of us that have returned back onto the land, the earth will give its increase. As we plant our crops, the Most High will allow that seed to be fruitful. So therefore, those plants will really blossom, and they will produce abundantly. And the Most High will not withhold the dew. He will not withhold the rains. He will not withhold the harvest from us, as he has done in times past, in order to punish us. Verse 3. And it shall come to pass that he that is left in Zion, and he that remaineth in Jerusalem, shall be called holy. That's going to be those of us that have returned back onto the Most High's laws. Even everyone that is written among the living in Jerusalem. Written among the living in Jerusalem. We know Jerusalem is not in the sky. It's on the earth. Those of us written among the living are simply those of us who have taken a hold of the Most High's law. Remember, as we were given the law, we were given a choice, life or death. So to be in the book of life or to be written among the living would be to have chosen the Most High's law and to do them rather than to throw them behind your back. Verse 4. When Yah shall have washed away the filth of the daughters of Zion, that's our women being cleaned up, and shall have purged the blood of Jerusalem from the midst thereof by the spirit of judgment and by the spirit of burning. Verse 5. And Yah will create upon every dwelling place of Mount Zion and upon her assemblies a cloud and smoke by day, and the shining of a flaming fire by night. For unto all the glory shall be a defense. So, as we are placed back into the land of Israel, the Most High will be there with us, and he will be a fire round about the entire house of Israel. He will be our defense. So, if the man that calls himself a Jew, if he is the house of Israel, the question would be, where is the third temple? He cannot build it. He is not of the house of Israel, and there are no Levites among them. Secondly, there is no fire round about Jerusalem right now, or round about Israel as a whole. Why? Because they are not the people of this book. All right. I did say we would be reading to verse 7. I may have made a mistake with that. That may have been an error. That's an error. So we will stop at verse 5 with that. So we read from verse 1 through verse 5 of Isaiah chapter 4 instead of verse 7. So that would be a correction. Now let's go to Isaiah chapter 14. Isaiah chapter 14. And we'll read verse 1, 2, and 3. And verse 1 of Isaiah chapter 14 reads, For Yah will have mercy on Jacob, and will yet choose Israel, and set them in their own land. And the strangers shall be joined with them, and they shall cleave to the house of Jacob. So once again, your enemies are coming. They're going to cleave unto you. And the Most High will place you in the land, and your enemies will be cleaving unto you. But the ones that are cleaving unto you are going to be those that will acknowledge that you are the seed which Yah hath blessed. And they're going to acknowledge that Yah is the Most High and the King of the whole earth. And they will take a hold of his covenant. That's the only reason why strangers are going to come back into the land with you. But keep in mind, these strangers in times past are nothing but the seed and the children of your enemies. Furthermore, let me point this out. There are many of the children of Israel that are claiming what they call indigenous status here in America. Keep in mind that the prophecy was, or the curse was, that the children of Israel will be placed into land that were not theirs. All right. So if we read here at verse 1, for Yah will have mercy on Jacob and will yet choose Israel. We have always been chosen. And set them in their own land. So if he's going to set us back into the land, into the Holy Land, it is clear that the lands in which we are in right now does not belong to us. Verse 2. And the people shall take them and bring them to their place. And the house of Israel shall possess them in the land of Yah for servants and handmaids. And they shall take them captives, whose captives they were. And they shall rule over their oppressors. Now, if you tell the average Gentile this, they're going to say, well, you know, I did not enslave anyone. I'm not responsible for this. But to a Gentile listening to this, and to a man of Israel that's listening to this, I want you to understand a few things. Number one, when you look at yourself in the mirror, what you're looking at your father. You're looking at your grandfather. You're looking at your great-great-great-great-great-great-great-grandfather. All the men that were before you, you are him. You are their gene. You are them. So you understand that. Same way when you look at your son. When you look at your son, you're looking at yourself. You're looking at your own seed. When you look at your brother's son, who is your nephew, you're looking at your father's seed. You're also looking at your own seed because you're the seed of your father. So you have to understand that you live forever through your children. So those that are our enemies today, those that have enslaved us in the past and have mistreated us and continue to do it today, their sons and daughters are alive right now. So you may say, I'm not responsible for slavery. I've not done this. I have not done that. Yes, you have. You are the seed of your father, and you will bear that responsibility, and you will bear those punishments, just as the children of Israel today are bearing the stripes. So will you. So you understand that. Keep in mind, Rehoboam, Solomon's son, the kingdom was rent from him, was torn from him. And the Most High told Solomon that he would allow him to remain on the throne only for the sake of his father. But he told Solomon, I will take this kingdom from your son. Do you think Rehoboam understood, hey, this thing is being taken from me, not because of something that I did, but because of something my father did? But indeed, Rehoboam is a seed of his father. So the punishment being carried out a generation, 2 or 3 generations down the line, it doesn't change anything because you're still punishing the same person. You're punishing his seed. You are your son. Your son is you. You are your father and your grandfather and your great-grandfather before him. All right. Now, verse 3. And it shall come to pass in that day that Yah shall give thee rest from thy sorrow and from thy fear and from thy hard bondage wherein thou wast made to serve. So, your enemies are coming. But the ones that are coming are going to be those that are of a contrite spirit, that have taken a hold of the Most High's laws. And those who have afflicted you, Israel, they will be in service to you. But the Most High is righteous. Keep in mind, we have been in service to them. And we are still in service to them. So they should not be shocked and be appalled when it's their turn to be in service to us. The Most High is righteous, and what indeed goes around comes around. And the Most High did say he will repay the house of Israel to their face, number one, and you will reap what you sow. Your own ways, be it good or bad, will be returned upon your own head. Be mindful of that. Now let's go to Isaiah chapter 60. Isaiah chapter 60. Isaiah chapter 60, we will read verse 10 through verse 22. Verse 10 through verse 22 of Isaiah chapter 60. And verse 10 of Isaiah chapter 60 reads, And the sons of strangers shall build up thy walls, and their kings shall minister unto thee. For in my wrath I smote thee, but in my favor have I had mercy on thee. So, we read here that the strangers are going to build up our walls. But guess what? We built up the walls of strangers. We're responsible for all the many buildings in the many lands of our captivity. We did the hard labor. So, strangers or our enemies, they will be building up our walls because we built up their walls. All right, so there's going to be a changing of the guard, and their kings will minister unto us. Their governors will minister unto us. To minister means to be in service to. They will be in service to the children of Israel. Verse 11, Therefore thy gates shall be open continually. They shall not be shut day nor night, that men may bring unto thee the forces of the Gentiles, and their kings may be brought. The forces of the Gentiles will be brought unto the children of Israel. The forces, all of their goods. All right? Their wealth. Because right now, all of our wealth belongs to our enemies, to the nations. There's going to be a reversal of that. Verse 12. For the nation and kingdom that will not serve thee shall perish. Yea, those nations shall be utterly wasted. Any nation that makes the choice that they will not serve the children of Israel, they will be wasted. That nation will be killed. Those individuals will be killed. But, once again, the Most High is righteous. Just think back to the slave days. Any slave that did not want to serve his enemies, serve his oppressors, he was killed. He was killed. And the reason why he was killed is because it is the Most High that brought our enemies against us. It is the Most High that led us into captivity. It is the Most High that gave these people that we want to give blame for everything. Is the Most High that gave them the dominion over us. So, to go against them was to be in direct opposition to the Most High. And that is why slaves who rebelled were killed. So you understand that. All right. Any nation that refuses to serve the children of Israel, Most High is going to kill them. Verse 13. The glory of Lebanon shall come unto thee, the fir tree, the pine tree, and the box together, to beautify the place of my sanctuary, and I will make the place of my feet glorious. The place of his feet is Israel, as you know. Verse 14. The sons also of them that afflicted thee shall come bending unto thee. All right. Remember, the sons of them that afflict thee. Remember, I just described to you the ones that afflicted you, their sons are them. same people, same gene. So you're going to see those that have afflicted you, they're going to come and bend before you. Now, the question is this. The Israelis, notice I didn't say Israelites, the Israelis, aka the Jews, they are in the land. The Most High said clearly that the house of Israel will have to appear before him 3 times in a year. And the strangers of the many nations will have to appear before him once a year. And that these many nations will bow down at the feet of the man of Israel. And they will know that he has always loved Israel. Now, anyone that's in the nations listening right now, how many of you have ever gone up or have sent your nation, or your nation has sent a representative every year since 1947 up to the land of Israel? How many nations on the earth had to send representatives up to Jerusalem once a year? It's never happened. How many men of the nations have taken a hold of a Jew or of an Israeli? It's never happened. How many men have bowed down and kissed the feet of an Israeli? It's never happened. It's never happened. All right. So let's read that. The sons also of them that afflicted thee shall come bending unto thee, and they that despise thee shall bow themselves down to the soles of thy feet, and they shall call thee the city of Yah, the Zion of the Holy One of Israel. Has this happened to the Israelis? The answer is no. Verse 15. Whereas thou hast been forsaken and hated, Israel, you know they hate you. We don't even have to go into that. I will make thee an eternal excellent, a joy of many generations. Verse 16. Thou shalt also suck the milk of the Gentiles. Yes, all your substance, we will take a hold of it as you have taken a hold of our substance in the time of our trouble and while we were being chastised. Once again, verse 16. Thou shalt also suck the milk of the Gentiles, and shalt suck the breast of kings, and thou shalt know that I am Yah, thy Savior. Didn't say that he was JC. The only Savior of the house of Israel is Yah, the Holy One of Israel, not the Holy Two, not the Holy Three of Israel. He is not a Trinity. So it states clear here, and thou shalt know that I, Yah, am thy Savior and thy Redeemer, the mighty one of Jacob. Verse 17. For brass I will bring gold, and for iron I will bring silver, and for wood brass, and for stones iron. I will also make thy officers peace, their officers peace, thy officers peace, and thine extractors righteous. Violence shall no more be heard in thy land. Stop. Violence shall no more be heard in the land of Israel. Now we're talking about, we have already been returned here and all these good things are happening. They have been in the land for 70 years. Land is full of violence. Land is full of homosexuals. Land is full of weaponry. Matter of fact, the Israeli government is one of the top exporters of weaponry to other nations. So it can't be you, Mr. Israeli man. This can't be you. Because the Most High said there shall be no more violence heard in the land. We not only hear violence in your land, we see it. Wasting nor destruction within thy borders. You guys are killing Palestinians every week. So, and there's a whole lot of wasting there. There's a whole lot of hypocrisy there. This is not you. But thou shalt call thy walls salvation and thy gates praise. This is going to happen when the children of Israel, the true house of Israel, returns back into that land. So we've had some people there since 1947. None of what I've just read applies to them. Verse 19. The sun shall no more be thy light by day. Sun is still shining over there. Neither for brightness shall the moon give light unto thee. That's still happening over there. But Yah shall be unto thee an everlasting light, and thy strong one thy glory. Verse 20. Thy sun shall no more go down, neither shall thy moon withdraw itself. For Yah shall be thine everlasting light, and the days of thy mourning shall be ended. They're mourning all the time. They're mourning all the time. They're crying about something all the time. There's no joy there. They have homosexuals in the land. One of the biggest gay parades on the earth can be found in Tel Aviv. These are not the people of the Most High. So you understand that. Verse 21. Thy people also shall be all righteous. The Most High said when we return back unto this land, he's going to be a fire round about us. We're not going to need the sun or the moon for light. He's going to be our everlasting light. He said there will be no wars in the land. There will be no weaponry in the land. There will be peace in the land. Right? And he said we're going to be all righteous. That does not apply to the people that's in the land right now that claims to be the house of Israel or claim to be the people of God. None of this applies to them. All right, let's read verse 21. Thy people also shall be all righteous. They shall inherit the land forever, the branch of my planting, the work of my hands, that I may be glorified. The branch of his planting, that is the entire house of Israel. Verse 22, a little one shall become 1,000, and a small one a strong nation. I, Yah, will hasten it in his time. All right, now we will go to Isaiah chapter 60. Isaiah chapter 60. Excuse me, Isaiah chapter 54. We've just finished reading 60. Isaiah chapter 54, we'll read verse 3 through verse 8. So we'll back up a few chapters to Isaiah chapter 54. And we'll read verse 3 through verse 8. And verse 3 of Isaiah chapter 54 reads, For thou shalt break forth on the right hand and on the left, and thy seed, your offspring, shall inherit the Gentiles, and make the desolate cities to be inhabited. So all of our cities were made desolate. Some of it is pure desert to this very day. The house of Israel inherit the Gentiles, meaning the Gentiles will be in service to us. And that's how our walls are going to be built up. The strangers are going to build it. The Gentiles are going to build it. All right. Verse 4. Fear not, for thou shalt not be ashamed, neither be thou confounded. For thou shalt not be put to shame, for thou shalt forget the shame of thy youth, and shalt not remember the reproach of thy widowhood anymore. Once we return back into the land, all the foul things that we have been done, it's going to be wiped out of our memories. We will not remember any of these foul things. All right? So we shall not remember, this is the Most High speaking, the days of our widowhood. Remember, the Most High is married unto the children of Israel. So the time of our widowhood was when the Most High divorced us, hid his eyes from the children of Israel, and would not hear our cry. And when we lifted up our hands in prayer, he did not hear us. For when he sent his prophets, waking up early and sending them, we did not hearken. So when he turned his face from us, that was the days of our reproach, and that was the days of our widowhood. Verse 5. For thy maker is thine husband. So he's saying this again. He is our maker. He is also our husband. YHWH is his name. And thy redeemer. He's also our redeemer. The Holy One of Israel. Not the Holy One. Not the Holy Three or the Holy Two. The Holy One. The strong one of the whole earth shall he be called. So Yah is one. He is the king. The only king of the earth. We're reading to verse 8. We're now at verse 6. For Yah has called thee as a woman forsaken and grieved in spirit, and a wife of youth. When thou wast refused, saith Yah. So you know that we were refused. The Most High did divorce himself from us, for we chose to walk contrary to his instruction. So let it be understood that a wife is to walk in the instruction of her husband. The Most High is our husband. We are a wife unto him as a nation. And when our husband gives us instruction, we're supposed to follow that as a nation. And if you don't, that's how you get divorce papers. And that's how this happened. And that's why we've been in these nations taking a beating left and right, not understanding why this has taken place and why it continues to take place. Verse 7, for a small moment have I forsaken thee, divorce, but with great mercies will I gather thee. The Most High did say he will gather us out of all the many nations where he has scattered us and plant us back into the land that he had promised unto our forefathers, the minute we return unto his law, us and our children. If you would like a detailed understanding of that, read Deuteronomy chapter 30, where he makes it plain that we are to return back unto his law. He didn't say anything about being baptized. He didn't say anything about building churches in the nations of our captivity. He didn't say anything about making graven images and putting it upon our necks, putting it in our houses, or printing it upon our skin. Deuteronomy chapter 30. Make sure you read that. It's very important. Verse 8. In a little wrath, I hid my face from thee for a moment. Remember, the Most High hid his eyes from us, turned his face from us. All right? But with everlasting kindness will I have mercy on thee, saith Yah, thy Redeemer. So our Redeemer is the Most High. And the Most High is making it plain that he did turn his face from us. But with everlasting kindness, he will have mercy on us. And that mercy is his law. So, if you're looking for mercy, if you're looking for the Most High to pour out his tender mercies upon you and forgive you, no one needs to die for you for that to happen. The extension of his mercy is within his law. It's within knowing it and being in adherence to it. All right, so we have read Isaiah 54, chapter 54, verse 3 through verse 8. We have read that. Now, let's jump down. Same chapter, Isaiah chapter 54, verse 13. Let's jump to verse 13. We'll read verse 13 and verse 17. Or 13 through 17, excuse me. Isaiah chapter 54, we will read verse 13 through verse 17. All right. And verse 13 of Isaiah chapter 54 reads, and all thy children shall be taught of Yah. Well, all our children shall be taught of Yah. That means all of our children shall be taught of the Most High's law. And great shall be the peace of thy children. All right. Your children right now are being snatched up in classrooms. They're being put in the back in the corner. They're being suspended. They're being expelled. They're being harassed. And they're being undereducated. Their schools are lacking the necessary equipment or caring teachers in which to cause the students to prosper. Your children are being shot in the street. Your children are being locked up. Your children are killing each other. Your children are being disrespectful to your elderly. Your children are walking contrary to the Most High's law. Your children are being punished. Your children have no peace. The Most High says clearly that our children shall be taught of him, which means we're going to teach our children his law. And great shall be the peace of thy children. So our children will know peace. Currently we do not, have not for quite some time. Verse 14, in righteousness, that means in his law, shall thou be established. Thou shalt be far from oppression. We have been oppressed, continue to be oppressed. For thou shalt not fear. Right now we're fearful of everything. All right? And from terror, for it shall not come near thee. All right. When you read Deuteronomy chapter 28, when the Most High sent evil after the house of Israel, it was made plain to us, that, there was going to be disarray in the midst of our families, and that we would literally be in fear of our lives in the midst of these many nations. And then you have Israelites in these nations talking about God did not give them a spirit of fear. I mean, I hear these Romans, these Christians, aka these Israelites, speaking this madness. God did not give them a spirit of fear. These are the most fearful people I know. They're scared of everything. If you read Deuteronomy chapter 28, where the Most High laid out his curses upon the children of Israel, fear and terror is what we were given. You weren't given a spirit of bravery. No, you were not. So we're to consider this when we start talking about God didn't give you a spirit of fear. Yes, he did. Go read Deuteronomy chapter 28 and tell me where he gave you a spirit of bravery when he cursed us and scattered us into the many nations. Show me where, put up the chapter and verse at the end of this video where we were given a spirit of bravery. I would like to see where that's located because I haven't seen it yet. All right. Let's get back to where we were. I've lost track. Let's reread verse 14. Verse 14 of Isaiah chapter 54. In righteousness shall thou be established. That's his law. Thou shalt be far from oppression. We will be oppressed no more. For thou shalt not fear. We are in fear right now. And from terror, we're being terrorized right now. For it shall not come near thee. So as we take a hold of the Most High's law, these are not things that we have to be worried about. These are not things that we should be fearful of. We will not be. Verse 15, behold, they shall surely gather together, but not by me. Whosoever shall gather together against thee shall fall for thy sake. So, your enemies will come. They're going to come two ways. They're going to come against you, and the Most High said they will fall for your sake. He's going to kill them. Or they're going to come bending at the knee, grabbing a hold of the man of Israel, stating, hey, look, we are with you because we know that the Most High is with you. So they're coming either way. They're coming to try to do harm. They're going to gather themselves against you to do harm to you. Most High is going to kill them. He's going to correct them. He's going to chastise them for it. He's going to punish them for it. Or they're coming to be in service to you. Either way, man of Israel, woman of Israel, your enemies are coming. Verse 16. Behold, I have created the smith that bloweth the coals in the fire, and that bringeth forth an instrument for his work. I have created the waster to destroy. I was talking to a fella that I know. He is a Jehovah's Witness. I was telling this fella, I said, man, the Most High create both good and evil. When you see someone kill someone, it's the Most High. The man that's doing all the killing and the destroying, the Most High created him for that purpose. He was like, what? I said, yeah. All the evil you see is the Most High at work. Oh, man, we can't talk no more. We can't. That's the end of this conversation. We can't talk anymore. See, this man tries to act as if he knows the book. But he doesn't know the book. And when faced with things that he cannot answer, his response was anger and to flee. And our brother didn't speak to me for a few days. We actually talk now, but I mean, he just doesn't understand. And I understand why he doesn't understand. He's in idolatry, but he will come to figure it out sooner or later. But I did give him a scripture to back up what I told him, but he couldn't give me one to back up what he was saying. And that's the ignorance of our people. We choose to talk about what we believe in, and when someone says, show me, he has no idea where to go or where to even begin. Verse 17, no weapon that is formed against thee shall prosper, and every tongue that shall rise up against thee in judgment thou shalt condemn. This is the heritage of the servants of Yah, And their righteousness is of me, saith Yah. Their righteousness is of him. That law is of him. So, all the weapons, Israel stopped buying all these guns. You're simply making your enemies rich. You can't do anything with it anyway. You're going to go buy this man's guns and make him rich, and go buy his bullets and make him rich because you think there's some great race war coming. Okay, let's say you went to war with this man from a military perspective. This man makes weapons. He has weapons that he will not allow you to touch. He has weapons that he will not allow you to be aware that he has. His weapons are his creation. He makes them. He has the factories for the weapons and the bullets. If you went to war with this man, you don't have a means in which to be resupplied with guns or bullets. You're not going to stop the war and ask for a truce and tell this man, look, I'm fresh out of ammo. I've lost some of my weaponry. Let me get some of those good new guns you've made and the real good bullets you've got. Let me get the newest you've got and the best you've got. And he's going to give it to you. So you can't go against this man with guns because he shoot them better than you. And he's made them. And he has the factories for them. He sells weaponry. That is where he placed his trust. His trust is in his guns, not in God of any kind. This man trusts in his weaponry. I want you to understand that. But the Most High said, no weapon formed against the men of Israel and the women of Israel who have taken a hold of his law shall prosper. So they can build all the guns they want, manufacture all the bullets they want. The Most High will cause their sons to kill themselves. He will cause their sons to kill the rest of their families with their own guns and their own bullets. We don't have to lift a hand. So if they decide to bring any weapon against us, if we're in this law, it will not prosper. I am a witness to that. I've had some men try to rise up against me. It just didn't work out for them at all. So you are to trust in that. You are to have faith in that. And you are to walk within the law, statute, judgments, and precepts of the Most High. That is your only protection. You must put on this breastplate of righteousness, this law. All right? And you will see. And for those of you who have turned to this law and have seen this and can bear witness to it, you can put a little something at the end of at the bottom of the box in the comment section if you are a witness that are turning to the Most High's law and dropping the idols of the many nations have benefited you in any way, shape, or form. You can be a testament. That way others of the house of Israel can see that, yeah, this is the right way to go. All right. Now, we will go to Isaiah chapter 2. Let's go back to Isaiah chapter 2. Isaiah chapter 2, and we'll read verse 2 through verse 4. And Isaiah chapter 2 reads in verse 2 of Isaiah chapter 2. And it shall come to pass in the last days. Let me say that again. And it shall come to pass in the last days, or the latter days, your choice, that the mountain of Yah's house shall be established in the top of the mountains, and shall be exalted above the hills, and all nations shall flow unto it. Remember, once the third temple is established, the Most High takes his people out of all these many nations, return them back into the land. He is there in his temple. He is a fire round about Israel. We don't need to rely upon the moon or the sun for light. Most High is our everlasting light. There's no wars in the land. There's no talk of war. There's no weapons of war in the land. When this happens, all the nations will have to flow to the Most High's house. Verse 3, and many people shall go and say, come ye, and let us go up to the mountain of Yah, to the house of the strong one of Jacob, and he will teach us of his ways. That's his law. And we will walk in his path. Path, singular. Take the S off of this. Path. That's only but one way to walk with him. For out of Zion shall go forth the law and the word of Yah from Jerusalem. Out of Zion shall go forth the law. This is going to happen in the latter days. So if all the nations have to go up to the house of the Most High, it clearly tells you that that church you go to, wherever you are, is not the house of the Most High. You are in idolatry. Let me repeat that. All the nations in the latter days, once the third temple is established and the Most High have taken his people out of the land and established them back in Jerusalem, all the many nations that are left, that are allowed to live, will have to go up to the temple, to the mountain, to the house of the Most High Yah, and ask to be taught of his law, meaning whatever it is you're doing right now is incorrect. Meaning if everyone has to go up to his house, that means that house you got right now called a church house is not the house of the Most High. Oh, by the way, speaking of that, I just came across an article the other day that stated clearly that, who was it? I want to say it was the Mormons, Latter-day Saints, something along those lines, Jehovah's Witness, something along those lines, probably those Mormons. They have built a huge idol house in Rome. Where it is right down the street from the Vatican. And the elder, that's what they call this person that's supposed to be one of their leaders, claim that it's the house of God. If you are a Jehovah's Witness or a Mormon or any of that idolatry, can you please point out to me, out of the mouth of any prophet, where the Most High ever said he had a house in Rome? That's my question to the Catholics. That's my question to these Mormons that just built a idol house, a eminent high place, a grove in Rome. And they're calling it the house of God. I have never read out of any of these chapters in the book of remembrance where the Most High ever said he had a house called the Vatican in Rome, or he had a Mormon house in Rome. The only place the Most High has ever had a house is in Zion. That's what I've read. If you've seen it someplace else that he had another house in Rome, in Brazil, in America, in Germany, in Pakistan, anywhere else, if you ever read that, let me know. If he had a house in Mecca, as you've seen, there were some what do you call them, locusts in Mecca at the Grand Mosque there. Most High never said he had a house in Mecca. Just so you understand all these things. All right, verse 4. And he shall judge among the nations and shall rebuke many people. He's going to correct you, let you know you're in error going to these Seventh-day Adventist churches, these Mormon churches, these Anglican churches, these Jehovah's Witness churches, these Southern Baptist churches. All of these are houses unto idols, plain and simple. All right, so he's going to rebuke many people. And they shall beat their swords into plowshares and their spears into pruning hooks. The reason why you're going to beat, a spear is a weapon of war. You're going to beat it into what? Pruning hooks. Why? And plowshares. There's not going to be any weapons of war. We're going to be farmers. There's not going to be a need for a spear and need for guns and missiles and tanks and biological warfare, and the Israelis that's in the land are full of weaponry in order to protect themselves. They're leaning upon weaponry. They're not leaning on the Most High. They're begging America for money. They're begging America for military support. The house of Israel leans on no one but the Most High. The house of Israel don't go begging other nations to protect them. Not the people of this book. And whenever the house of Israel tried to go beg other people to protect them, i.e., when we leaned upon Assyria, What did the Most High do? The Most High caused Assyria to come through the land and take everything. Double-crossed Ahaz. Double-crossed them. So we're to lean on the Most High and not to lean on any other nation in order to protect us and to safeguard us. The Israelis lean upon America for both money, for weaponry, and protection. You can't find that in here. All right. So once again, we're at verse 4. And he shall judge among the nations, and shall rebuke many people. And they shall beat their swords, weapons of war, into plowshares, farming tools. And their spears, weapons of war, into pruning hooks, farming tools. Nation shall not lift up sword against nation. Ain't gonna be no wars. Neither shall they learn war anymore. Now you know there's wars all throughout the earth. War throughout the earth right now. So, if this man in the land that calls themselves a Jew, that calls themselves Israelis, if they are the people of the land, and the Most High restored them into the land in 1947 as they claim, why has there been wars in the earth ever since? And there's still wars in the earth now. And why have they been unable to build the third temple? These are just some questions for you. All right. That ends verse 4 of Isaiah chapter 2. Now, like I said, we will finish up with Zechariah chapter 8. And we will read the entire chapter of Zechariah 8. And that will conclude this lesson. And this is the restoration of Jerusalem. All right. Now, we're at Zechariah chapter 8, and we're reading the entire chapter. It's not a very long chapter. We'll read this chapter to kind of establish some things and make some things clear. Zechariah chapter 8, verse 1 reads, Again, the word of YHWH came to me, saying, Thus saith YHWH, I was jealous for Zion with great jealousy, and I was jealous for her with great fury. For thus saith Yah, I am returned unto Zion. If the Most High returned unto Zion, it means he's already been there before. And will dwell in the midst of Jerusalem. He's already dwelt in the midst of Jerusalem. Look at the video. Yah dwelt in the midst of his people. The Most High did not have to make a man of himself and send himself down to be in the midst of men or in the midst of his people. He has always been so. Even from the time of Adam in the garden. He was in the midst of him in the garden. That's why he kicked Adam out. All right. Let me reread verse 3. Thus saith Yah, I am returned unto Zion, and will dwell in the midst of Jerusalem. And Jerusalem shall be called a city of truth. Truth is righteousness. They're one and the same. And the mountain of Yah of hosts, the holy mountain. Thus saith Yah of hosts. This is verse 4. There shall yet old men and old women dwell in the streets of Jerusalem, and every man with his staff in his hand for very age. So old men and old women will be dwelling in the streets of Jerusalem. Depending on where you live right now, an old man of Israel or an old woman of Israel, if you step out into the street, you are in danger. Now, verse 5. And the streets of the city shall be full of boys and girls playing in the streets thereof. So we will have children playing in the streets in Jerusalem. If your child is playing in the street nowadays, they're liable to catch a stray bullet. Or the cops are liable to pull up and see your son, 6 years old, is playing cops and robbers among themselves. And the cop may pull out the gun and shoot your 6-year-old and scream that he was in fear for his life. We won't have to worry about that when these days occur. Our old men and women will be able to be in the streets, and our children will be able to play in the streets because the Most High will give peace unto our children. All right. Now, verse 6. Thus saith Yah of hosts, if it be marvelous in the eyes of the remnant of this people in these days, should it also be marvelous in my eyes, saith Yah of hosts. So the Most High is saying, when we see it, when the remnant of us that's allowed to return back to the land, when we see it, it's going to be a marvelous thing in our eyes. He said, but it will also be a marvelous thing in his eyes for him to see it as well. All right. Verse 7. Thus saith YHWH, behold, I will save my people. Didn't say he was going to save everybody. My people. Very, very specific. From the east country and from the west country. So he's going to save us from the east country and the west country. He's going to gather us out of all the many nations where he scattered us. I repeat again, JC never scattered the house of Israel into many nations. So JC can't come get you out of some place where he scattered you. This is a myth. The Most High put us in these nations. It is the Most High that will retrieve us out of these many nations. All right. Once again, verse 7, once again, thus saith YHWH, behold, I will save my people, very specific, from the east country and from the west country. Verse 8, and I will bring them, and they shall dwell in the midst of Jerusalem, not dwell in the sky. And they shall be my people, and I will be their God, or their strong one, in truth and in righteousness via this law. Verse 9, thus saith YHWH, let your hands be strong, ye that hear in these days these words by the mouth of the prophets. So if you're hearing the words right now from the prophets, Zechariah, and you can hear my voice as I read this to you, remember there's no need for new prophets, for the simple fact that this word does not change. So you're hearing the words of the prophets right now, and the Most High is letting you know, when you hear these words, let your hands be strong. Ye that hear in these days these words by the mouth of the prophets, which were in the day that the foundation of the house of Yah of hosts was laid. So not only was this to strengthen those that heard it during the time of Zerubbabel, but it's also to strengthen those of you who are scattered in the midst of the nations that can hear my voice today and can read this text today, that you may hear the words that the Most High spake unto Zechariah. Verse 10, for before these days there was no hire for man, nor any hire for beast, neither was there any peace to him that went out or came in because of the affliction. You know the affliction is on the children of Israel right now, whether we're going or coming, and that is about to increase. For I set all men, every one against his neighbor. So, if you ever wonder why you step on a brother's shoe, he's willing to kill you, he's willing to fight you. If you wonder why your brother, the fellow Israelite, will lay down with your fiance, if you wonder why your fellow Israelite will come and lay down with your wife when you're at work, if you wonder why your fellow Israelite conspires against you in the workplace and conspire against you everywhere else and is an enemy unto you, is because of this. Listen to what the Most High said. For I set all men, every one against his neighbor. He is speaking to the house of Israel here. When you hear this, all men, he's speaking about Israel. So the Most High put a fire in the house of Israel. And that's why we have problems with our women, with our children. Our men have quarrels and contention with each other. There's a total breakdown and disarray in the house of Israel. And it's the Most High caused this thing because we were rebellious. Verse 11. But now I will not be unto the residue of this people as in the former days, saith YHWH. So what he's saying is, for those of us, the residue of this people, we are the genes of our forefathers. He's saying that, look, the punishments that I've put onto you in times past, Israel, I will no more put it on you. Because we're the same people. When you look at our people right now, you're looking at the house of Israel. Past or present, it doesn't make a difference. It's the same gene pool. It's the same gene line. It's the same seed. All right. Speaking of that seed, I've done a video that makes it plain there's no such thing as, everyone being spiritual Israel. It's about seed. I saw 2 thumbs down on that video. And if the person that put a thumbs down on that video, if one of you are hearing this, I would like for you to point out to me where any prophet in the book of remembrance ever said, seed is what you believe. I would like you to point out to me where the Most High ever said that he was going to put you in the land based on what you believe. So if you're going to disagree that seed don't mean sperm and it don't mean posterity, then don't just disagree with it. I want you to go put something down below that video and show me where you can go in this book out of the words of prophets and validate what your point of view is. That way I can be edified, and those who look at these videos, they may learn something too. Don't just stick a thumbs down on the video. Give us a rebuttal to it, going into this book, going into these scrolls using prophets. And I'm going to say it again, Mark, Luke, John, Mark, Matthew, Willie, Harry, Bobby, Willie, and Joey. These are not prophets. These are Europeans. These are Romans. These are liars. All right. Now, verse 11. But now I will not be unto the residue of this people as in the former days, saith YHWH. As you know, he's gonna have mercy upon us. For the seed shall be prosperous, and the vine shall give her fruit, and the ground shall give her increase, and the heavens shall give their due. And I will cause the remnant of this people to possess all these things. So he's saying when we plant these seeds in the ground, he's not going to withhold the water. He's not going to withhold the fruit. When we plant something, that plant is going to bring forth its increase. It's going to produce its fruit in abundance. He's not going to withhold the dew or the rain that's going to cause the earth to cause these plants to flourish. This is what he's saying. All right. Verse 13. And it shall come to pass that as ye were among the heathen, as ye were a curse, and you know we are a curse among these people that hate you. All right. And it shall come to pass, we're at verse 13, that as we were a curse among the heathen, O house of Judah, and O house of Israel, he's speaking to the whole nation, so will I save you, and ye shall be a blessing. Fear not, but let your hands be strong. Once again, this is to reiterate to you, fear not. You're at the bottom of the barrel now, but continue to lean upon the Most High. Lift your hands in prayer, face Jerusalem, acknowledge your faults, and walk within this law. All right? Verse 14. For thus saith YHWH, as I thought to punish you when your fathers provoked me to wrath. All right. Is your father everybody? No. Your father is one man, and one man before him, and another man before him. So when you're dealing with the house of Israel as a whole, you see, and you're dealing with the 13 tribes, that's what he's saying, your fathers. He's addressing the whole entire family. This is genealogy. This has nothing to do with what you believe. All right? Verse 14, let me reread that. For thus saith YHWH, as I thought to punish you when your fathers provoked me to wrath, saith YHWH, and I repented not. I didn't hold back. I let them have it. Verse 15. So again have I thought in these days to do well unto Jerusalem and to the house of Judah. Fear ye not. Verse 16. These are the things that ye shall do. Speak ye every man the truth to his neighbor. So Israelites, you are to speak truth to your fellow brother. Execute judgment of truth and peace in your gates. And let none of you imagine evil in your hearts against your neighbor. And love no false oath, no lies. For all these are things that I hate, saith Yah. So the Most High hated when you lie to your fellow brother. The Most High hated when you're making false oath. You're making a pledge deceitfully, knowing that you're going to renege on it. Okay? We are to not imagine evil against our brother. These are all the things that the Most High hates. Verse 18. And the word of Yah came unto me, saying, verse 19, thus saith YHWH, the fast of the 4th month, the fast of the 5th, and the fast of the 7th, and the fast of the 10th shall be to the house of Judah joy and gladness, and cheerful feast. Therefore, love the truth and peace. The truth is the law. So love the law. By loving the law, you will get peace. So the fast, these fasts will be cheerful feasts. It wouldn't be something to be the way, oh man, it's a day of atonement, man. I can't eat nothing today, blah, blah, blah. You make it some kind of a burden onto you. It should not be. Okay? Verse 20. Thus saith YHWH, it shall come to pass that there shall come people and the inhabitants of many cities. So once again, that's them all coming up. All your enemies coming. And the inhabitants of one city shall go to another, saying, let us go speedily to pray before Yah, and to seek Yah of hosts. I will go also. So this is the same thing that we read in Isaiah chapter 2, where all these many nations and all these many cities are going to say, look, let us go up to the strong one of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. And then another one going to say, you know what? Yeah, let's go. I'm coming with you. All right? So they're going to go to seek the Most High. They're not going to say, hey, look, let's go up to the Ebenezer Baptist Church and seek the Most High. Yeah, they're not going to say that. All right? Verse 17. Yea, my people, excuse me. Verse 22. Yea, many people and strong nations shall come to seek Yah of hosts in Jerusalem, and to pray before Yah. Okay, where are these people, where are these nations going to go to seek him? They're not going to go to your Bethlehem Baptist Church. You know you got a bunch of them. They're not going to go to your Mount Sinai Church. You know you got a bunch of them. They're not going to go to Ebenezer Baptist Church. You know they got a bunch of them. You're not going to go to the house of Shiloh. You know you got, I mean, our people are just ridiculous. Okay, so we've got to do better than this. Once again, let's reread verse 22. That way folks can clearly understand exactly where these people are going or where these nations are going. Verse 22 of Zechariah chapter 8. Yea, many people and strong nations shall come to seek Yah of hosts where? In Jerusalem. And to pray before Yah. Why? He's in Jerusalem. That's where he's going to be when all this takes place. All right? So you understand, he's not going to be in Brazil. He's not going to be in America or Russia or China or anywhere else. Verse 22, thus saith Yah of hosts, in those days it shall come to pass that 10 men shall take hold out of all languages of the nations, even shall take hold of the skirt of him that is an Israelite, saying, we will go with you, for we have heard that Yah is with you. Now, that concludes this lesson. They, your enemies, will come. Now, your enemies are coming two ways. They're coming to do harm towards you, and the Most High is going to cause them to fall for your sake if you're walking within his law. Or they're coming to bow down to you, to pay obeisance to you, to grab a hold of you, and to walk with you, for you are walking with the Most High. And that old saying that, oh, you can't get to the Father unless you go by way of the Son, that's true. But they lied when they brought JC in the mix. The true essence of that is this. The Son of the Most High is the entire nation of Israel. Exodus 4, verse 22. And if you are of these nations and you seek to even get a hold of the Most High, to tread his courts, you got to take a hold of his Son, the children of Israel. You're going to have to get a hold of him. And so by way of grabbing a hold of the skirt of the man of Israel, that's how you get to the Father. That's how you get to save yourself. That's how you get to save your seed, aka your children. Is when you take a hold of the man of Israel. So you understand that. So yeah, those of you of the nations, you will have to take a hold of a man of Israel. Because a man of Israel, Israel being the chosen people, you have to ask yourself, well, if you're the chosen people, you're chosen to do what? We are chosen to teach the many nations of the earth the righteousness of the Most High. That is his law. Because we have failed to teach the laws, statute, judgment, and precepts of the Most High, to actually follow them. Since we failed to do them, thus the whole earth is in disarray. We have failed in our job. So I encourage you men of Israel who have read this law, have studied it, and have taken a hold of it, that you start your channel as well, that you teach those that are around you this law. For that is our job. We were chosen. We were chosen to do what? We were chosen to teach these many nations the laws, statutes, judgments, and precepts of the Most High. And until we return back onto those laws, statutes, judgments, and precepts of the Most High, our punishments will continue to increase and the earth will continue to be in disarray. For those who have been chosen to keep things in order have gone astray. And that is us and our people. Hence, this is why we are punished in the many nations. So, let this be a word or words of encouragement that the very people that hate you now, it won't be long that they will come seeking answers from you, grabbing a hold of you, bowing down to you, seeking guidance from you. They will also come against you to kill you. But that will not have any success if you're walking in this law, statute, judgments, and precepts. And for the men of Israel who are walking in righteousness, there are your fellow Israelites who are walking after idols, teaching black JC and white JC, some of them. And they have been against you. They also will come to you seeking guidance, grabbing a hold of you, because they understand clearly that the Most High is with you. So you are to be strong and of good courage. Remain in these laws, statutes, judgments, and precepts. There are rewards for it. Once again, thy righteousness is an everlasting righteousness, and thy law is the truth. Right now, the children of Israel has been marginalized, has been killed in these many nations, have been slandered, have been framed, you name it. The days are coming that to speak ill against the man of Israel will be to the detriment of anyone that does so, whether they are Israelite or not. As Aaron and Miriam spoke ill of Moshe, and it angered the Most High, to where he made Miriam white. Now, they didn't do anything to Moshe. They didn't spoke ill of him. So, those of you who speak ill of a man of Israel or a woman of Israel that's walking in this law, or of the children of Israel that's walking in this law, you're going to get chastised for this thing. Just speaking ill of a man of Israel is going to carry a penalty, just so you understand that. Anyway, Israel, it's been 1 hour and 13 minutes. That concludes this class. Understand that your enemies, they are coming. The sons and daughters of your enemies, they are coming. They're coming to do you harm. And when they do, if you're in this law, the Most High will protect you and he will kill them. Or they're coming to be at peace with you. They're coming to learn from you. They're coming to be in obeisance to you. They're coming to be in servitude to you. They're coming to minister unto you. And when they do that, because the Most High has put a spirit upon them to be at peace with you, don't you dare be at war with them. The Most High said, when a man ways pleases him, he will cause his enemies to be at peace with him. So those who are your enemies that decide to take a hold of the Most High's law, they will be at peace with you and will seek you out. And your job then will be to teach them in the ways, the laws, statutes, and judgments and precepts of the Most High. Thy righteousness is an everlasting righteousness, and thy law is the truth. Peace, Israel, and Yah bless.